Now I'd like to invite Jane Morrison to present and share.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for having me along today. I'm really delighted to be here with you all. So I just wanted to start with a bit of a disclaimer. I'm not an economist, but I'm going to talk about economics today anyway, so I hope that's okay. I've spent my career so far working to tackle environmental challenges from pollution to biodiversity loss to climate change. And I've worked with businesses and communities all over Scotland, as well as here in the Highlands, to improve our environment and help people thrive. The more I got involved with this type of work, climate change and tackling inequality, the more I realised that a lot of what I was doing was actually focusing on exactly what you talked about, the sticking plasters, after something had already gone wrong. So pollution had already happened, a species was already in decline, a community was already facing injustice or poverty. So I started moving some of my attention upstream, and I started asking, what is driving this? And for me, that led me to thinking about the economy. So what is wrong with our current economic system? Well, most economies focus on a very narrow measure of success, GDP. GDP is basically an algorithm for how quickly we can turn our natural resources and people's efforts into money. To give an example, GDP would count as a success, a deforestation, but it would never put any value on our living forests and what they can provide and the value that they hold. They might count how many houses are built and sold, but they wouldn't count the quality of that housing or whether those houses were lived in or they were second homes. And importantly, it puts no value at all on unpaid labour of carers and homemakers without whom our current system couldn't actually exist. So when we're chasing growth in GDP as our only goal, we're less able to incentivise decisions that protect nature and protect ourselves. And one way that I like to think about this is it's a bit like salt. You need a little bit of it to make your food taste good. But if you add too much of it, actually, you're not enhancing the flavour and you're harming your health. So economic growth is a bit like this, and countries and communities all over, they need a little bit of it to meet those needs. And it can yield returns when it's used wisely and directed properly. But we're starting to see now in our society what happens when you chase too much GDP growth, and things like the climate crisis, wealth inequality are examples of what's happening there and the damage that this is causing. And the benefits that I mentioned that growth can yield, those come about when we invest the growth in our collective institutions and our well-being. And of course, like the NHS, education systems, these are all examples of how we could have used it wisely, and we have in the past. But a well-being economy is different because it delivers a fair distribution of wealth, health, and well-being, and it protects the planet's resources for future generations and other species. We'd spend less time on, the fixing, the cleaning up that we've already heard about. And our economy would do a lot more of that heavy lifting and get things right the first time around. A well-being economy is one that is designed with health and well-being of people and planet as its goal. And this marks a substantial shift in the way that we've traditionally thought about economics. To achieve it, we would need to prioritise actions that have wider benefits for people and planet. Governments, businesses, organisations and communities would be working together to deliver on this goal. And we would only pursue growth in areas that contribute to our collective well-being while shrinking areas of the economy that damage it. At the Wellbeing Economy Alliance, or WEAll for short, we've worked with our many members from all over the world to come up with design principles for a wellbeing economy. These are 5 simple principles, but there's a lot sitting behind them. And they're concepts that can be found in Indigenous wisdom, religious texts, research, and many surveys where people have been asked what matters most to them in life. So the new economic system that we all need would be designed for, firstly, fairness, with justice at its heart. Secondly, nature, a safe and restored natural world for all life. Thirdly, participation, citizen engagement and locally rooted economies. Also, it would be designed for purpose and institutions that serve the common good. And crucially, it would deliver dignity. Everyone has enough to live in comfort, safety, and happiness. We've developed lots of guides and toolkits that people can use to help them in trying to reach this within their communities, and that's available on our website, and also I'd be happy to speak to anybody about that today. And there's some great examples of this work already happening in Scotland, the UK, and abroad. North Ayrshire Council has launched Scotland's first community wealth building strategy. The Love Lethem project is working with children in the area to co-create a plan to make that place the best place it can possibly be for them to grow up in. Recently, over 100 organisations and economists wrote to the First Minister to ask for an urgent transition to a wellbeing economy. And in Scotland, we also have a cross-party working group on the wellbeing economy, which is helping getting buy-in across the political parties to support these policies. In the business world, Scotland's small craft breweries are an inspiring example of how local production and collaboration can help build thriving local economies. And recently, the Scottish Football Association have worked with We All to show how football can play an important role in helping build a wellbeing economy as well. And of course, we've got the Future Generations work in Wales, which is one I always use in most of my talks, but you can speak about it better than me. And in cities like Leeds and Amsterdam, we've got donut economics models being used. So there's just so much happening, so much inspiration out there. And while it might be different in our own areas, we can definitely draw on this and connect with others. And that's a role that We All as an organisation really wants to help people with, joining those dots. I mentioned at the start of the talk that I'm not an economist, but being part of the transformation to a wellbeing economy doesn't require us to be. Just as solving the climate crisis doesn't require just scientists, it needs all of us. Everyone needs to be involved with this. I'm not an economist, but I love taking my dog for a walk in a clean, natural environment. I'm not an economist, but I want to play a role in the decisions that affect me and my community. I'm not an economist, but I want to have fair and fulfilling work. So that's why changing the economic system is for me. This is something that we all collectively own. And through our everyday actions, choices, and experiences, we are the economy. We are the experts already. And by working with other people, we can start that transformation to create a fairer and safer future for us and for nature. And today is a really good opportunity with so many people in the room who are committed to this, to work together. A wellbeing economy asks us to come together around what really matters to us. Things like our joy, the food we eat, our community, music, nature, health, and meaningful work. And it asks us to count those things in our decision-making. A wellbeing economy offers up a positive vision for our future, one that can bring us together, inspire us to act, to save what we love, and a story that we can move towards with courage and hope. Thank you.